Good evening, everyone. Hi. Welcome to Empowerment Moment with Dr. G. I am here with my awesome sidekick, my extraordinaire daughter, who is, since the last time we talked, is now moving into the workforce. And so I am here with Senna, and I just want to invite everybody you can come into our Zoom room. I'm sure Senna is going to post the link on there for those who want to actually be in the room with us. And also for those who are watching us on YouTube, if you're watching it later, or you're on Facebook, you're catching us, we just want to welcome you to Empowerment Moment with Dr. G. This is part of our work with My Goal Inc., our parent organization. My Goal Inc., of course, has birthed out a number of different initiatives. Check out our website, mygoalinc.org. You can see a lot of the things that we do and have been doing for past 13 years. Sana, can you believe it's been 13 years since My Goals got started?
It feels like my entire life.
It
Because
is.
it pretty much has been. Oh, well, I guess half.
Yeah, well, it's almost like 2/3 of your life. And you're growing right along with it. So
Yep.
it's a part of our life, but it's more than just about our life. It's also about our legacy. Legacy, because when you're walking into an issue and you face a challenge, one has to ask themselves, am I going to allow this issue to overwhelm me, or am I going to let it cause me to grow and impact other people's lives? And so I'm so grateful to God that you have been, and you and your sister and your brother and mom and dad and everybody has been a huge part of My Goal and how we continue to impact families. And so Senna is joining me because now I've actually roped her into the organization formally. Now she's part of the family, and you're going to see her on and off here as she takes on one of her hats. And one of the key hats that I've automatically put on her, but she joyfully takes it on, is to be our project manager for Nick's Hope, which we've talked a little bit about in the past. So we'll share some more about that soon enough. But so Senna, tell us, how's it been since you now are graduate of college and getting into the workforce? What are you up to?
Well, I have been so graciously accepted back home by my wonderful parents. So I am creating my own space in the house because before I was with my sister in our room, but since I moved away to college, she has decided to make it her own space. So I have been working on trying to create my own room in the house, which has been fun. Feel a little like Bob the Builder, so that's been pretty cool. But I feel like it hasn't really hit me yet because, every time like school ends, I come home for the summer and then, just hang out for a bit before I go back. So I feel like once I actually start working, that's when my brain will be like, oh, wait, what's going on?
Yeah. Hey, sister Pat, how are you? You look fantastic. You're muted. You're muted. We can't hear you. I know you're like, okay, what's happening? Pat, for those of you who know, Pat is like a very dear, wonderful friend. Family. There you go. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm glad to see you join us today
Thank you.
for our empowerment moment. We're just talking to Senna about graduating, and then you also have some great stuff that you've been up to. You also graduated. Congratulations. Congratulations. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. What was the question again?
I say you have great news. Congratulations. You graduated also.
Yes, I'm still, yeah, it's still, just like Senna just said, it's still like a dream to me. 'Cause I haven't really accepted until I started working. Because right now I'm still, okay, I know I graduated. Okay, what's the next thing to do? So when I started working on my field, then going to work and doing it now, so okay, now it will finally hit me that I finally graduated. Because right now I'm still processing it.
Well, I'm so super
Process.
proud of you. It is such an amazing testimony that I know one day you'll want to share with people. That no, it doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are. If you put your mind to it that you want to achieve something, you can achieve it. And this is the reason why I come
Yeah.
here to do these stories, because I feel like There are people out there who are facing one challenge or the other, and they need to be reminded that when you put your mind to something, you can achieve it. So it's such a joy to know that a few years ago, I was almost yelling at you to say, why? You got to go back. You got to finish this. And
I know. I know.
and you did.
I
So
know.
for those who are listening, what did you get your degree in? So this way we could put it out there. If someone needs to employ you, they can certainly consider. Yeah. What did you get your
Please.
degree in?
Psychology and counseling.
Psychology and counseling. So for those of you who are listening, this amazing woman, I am plugging her services. She's completely dependable and a really instrument in blessing people's lives. So if there's opportunities out there and you're listening, Pat is out there saying, hey, I want to work with you. So we just want to, I know she didn't ask me to do this. I just felt led to say that right now. Only because it just goes to tell you that, to your point, it's hitting you like, okay, maybe I don't have to do all those studying anymore, reading as many materials and all that good stuff. But we just want to just acknowledge your hard work. And, I know on behalf of Michael, your son, congratulations. We're super proud of you.
Thank you.
Super proud. So you see why you have to come in and join us in our room, because you just never know. We'll put you on a hot spot.
I know.
But one of the vision of my goal is really to empower people, remind people that they have worth, empower people of their value. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the power of just being able to inspire our children and the power of building character in them. And as we're talking about that, I just want to remind everyone that we're in almost the end of June and we're halfway through the year. So we gotta just, clap for ourselves that we've made it, and we'll continue to press through and continue to push through. Many of us, thankfully have, received vaccines. So that's given us an opportunity to be able to start to live life and be able to think about ways that we can proceed forward and be able to not have the fear and anxiety about going out. Be able to go unmasked. So if you're listening and you're still on the fence about doing this, think about the fact that there is so much more to life than living in fear. And fear is not the place to be.
No.
Anxiety is not the place to be. So I just want to encourage you to just reflect and think about what are the things that you've had to put on hold? What are the things that you have to be fearful about because of the fact that you didn't have you weren't able to do the things you wanted to do. So let's think about that and do what we need to do to just make sure we get past the fear. I want to welcome to her. She's calling herself Success. That's another graduate. Wow. Today I'm in the room with graduates, a bunch of graduates. This is another person, Ronke, who graduated with her degree, and her master's degree. And she's also an amazing woman who's titled herself Success. So welcome, Success, to the Zoom room. So I just wanted to share you guys a little story. I was reading a devotional the other day, and it really struck me, and it just made me think, and I'll throw it out to you guys who are in the room with us, and also those of you on social media. So Senna, you can drop the questions as I throw it in there. I was reading this devotion. I was talking about how the importance of building character in our children. And it talked about some specific things that we need to think about. And if you think about developing character in your children, there's 4 nuggets that I'm going to drop. There was a bunch of them, but it was the top 4 that I thought really hit me, that I just wanted to just bring it out. And also for us to think about how we can model that, right? So part of us empowering each other is really realizing that we've been gifted the opportunity to influence people's lives, specifically our children. And the way we influence their life is to make sure that we're raising them in a way, regardless of their abilities and regardless of their challenges, that we should give them certain key attributes or help them to develop those key attributes. And one of the first ones to think about is the concept of integrity. So the first attribute to think about is integrity. Integrity, when you think about integrity, it combines the characteristics of wholeness, someone who's whole, someone who has who's complete, someone who believes that I'm doing the right thing at all times. And a perfect example of a person that we know, we can think about, and for me, my faith is to look at Jesus Christ. He is a model of integrity. And and the reason why we say that is because when we know that we can take his word and take it and believe every part of it, that is really an essence of integrity. And as parents, we must really, really encourage our children to let their words be their bond. In other words, let your word really be what people believe. If you tell someone you're going to do something, do it. If you tell your child that you're going to take them somewhere and you're not able to do it, let them know that I couldn't do it. Treat them equally well and treat others well. So the first thing to teach our kids, the thing to remind them of, is the value of integrity. If it costs you everything, think about the importance of letting your word stand, treating people right. No matter who they are, we treat people right. You don't judge them by their outward appearance. You look at them and say, you know what? I need to treat you right because I know that that's the same thing that I want. So the first point here is, let's teach our children the value of integrity. There's a Proverbs chapter 20, verse 7 says, the godly, or the people who are walking right, walk with integrity, and your children are blessed because they follow them. So if I want my child to have character, a good character, I need to express integrity in how I treat that child, and how I treat my neighbors, and how I treat my coworkers. And whatever I do, they will follow me too. So that's one of the key things to talk about, and just having that in the mind. I was talking to one of my younger daughters the other day, one of them, and I was saying to her, the importance of making sure that your yes is your yes and your no is your no. If you promise that you're going to deliver your homework or do something with the teacher is expecting you to do what you say you're going to do. And if you can't, send an email, send a text. Hey, I was supposed to come by. I'm not going to be able to. And just so that they know that if your word is your bond. So the key word here is, my word should be my bond. My word should be something that people can hold you for. So I want to challenge all of us to say, okay, you know what? We're going to teach our children the importance of having integrity at all costs. A good name is better than riches. A good name is better than riches. So your name should be associated and affiliated with someone with integrity. Next one that I wanted to talk about, and we can talk about some of the things that we've used as an example, is to have courage. Building character means having courage. The reality is that we're going to face challenges. The reality is that there are things that's going to make us feel afraid. That sometimes our kids are afraid of missing out. They're afraid of failing. They're fearful of not being liked. It is important to let them know that, you know what, in life, you're going to have things that's going to make you be fearful. It happens to all of us as parents. Maybe, we're like with this pandemic particularly, remember how we weren't sure if I go out or something happened to me? That is a natural fear that can happen. Let them know that can happen. And then the difference though is that knowing that can happen and not allowing it to paralyze us. So otherwise, sometimes people think that, oh, I am the only thing, that there's something wrong with me because I'm fearful. No. Fear is something that can happen. Have you ever thought that, a teacher calls on you to speak and you're like, oh my God, I don't even know what to say, and you get paralyzed, right? For those of us who are here, if you've ever been asked to speak in front of a large crowd, you can get paralyzed with fear. And it's just like, oh my gosh. And all of a sudden your tongue gets frozen. Yeah, that can happen. Let your kids know that's happened to you before. And then let them know how you overcame it. Because if you let them know, that's the definition of courage. It's saying that when I am fearful, I'm not going to allow my fear to paralyze me. I'm going to seek help. I'm going to ask people for ideas, and I'm going to be able to move past it. And if I think about that, one word of encouragement I always have is Psalm 27, verse 1. It said, the Lord is my strength and my salvation, right? Of whom shall I be afraid? The Lord is my light. The Lord is my strength. The Lord is my peace. So many a times when I'm going into an environment where I'm not sure and I'm fearful, I start to think about words of encouragement, words of knowledge that has encouraged me. And one of my absolute favorite scripture, you know, it says, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. I can do all things. And I remember years ago when I was getting ready to take my board exam in oncology. And that exam is super hard. I promised myself I'll never take that exam again. So I make sure that I do my continuing education credit because it was so hard. It had about 50% passing rate. And so knowing that already going into it, I was just like, okay. And that exam was expensive too. So I said to myself, I'm not going to fail this exam. But I got paralyzed halfway in preparing because I looked at how much material I needed to study. And it was enough to make me say, no, I don't want to do this. But then I was talking to my dear friend, Pastor Lorraine, and she's like, you can do this. And I went back to that word that encourages me. And it says, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. So tell your children that they just need to face their fear, and whatever it is, talk to people who are walking the journey or who have overcome it and they can get it through. So second thing to teach your child so that they have character is not to be fearful, but to have courage. Face your challenges head on. Third thing. So far, what have we talked about? We talked about integrity and we talked about courage. The third thing to talk about is have compassion. It's important that we teach this. Compassion is something that has to be intentionally cultivated. It means being sensitive about people around us, especially, people who have challenges. It's very, very important that we go out of our way to be kind and to just say, I see you, especially when that person is struggling. Say, I know that you're going through a hardship right now and I see you. Not ignoring it, not ignoring their pain, and really recognizing it. So it's something important. And then tell them that compassion is something we have to practice every day. Make it a point to say, I'm going to do something nice for somebody. I'm going to smile at someone. I want to compliment someone. I want to just remind them that they are loved or they are cared for. It's something that we just have to make sure that we practice. Unless you practice it, it's not going to come naturally. I got to tell you that, for some of us, we can be caught up in our own world. Problems are consuming you and you're just not even thinking about how the other person next to you may be going through something too. So I want to encourage you that think about that from that perspective that, hey, I need to think about other people's needs. So if you start to get overwhelmed by your own issues, pause for a minute and say, you know what, how is so-and-so person also doing right now? For many of us during this pandemic, it was so easy to get overwhelmed by our issue that we forget that we need to think about other people. So let's think about that and say, okay, you know what? I need to practice compassion. So what are some of the practical things you can do? Include, inviting a friend over. When you're picking up dinner for yourself, pick up a second one. You never know, there may be someone that needs it that you will be able to offer it to, right? Somebody's giving you a gift or an idea and you're like, oh, I'm not sure I want it. Take it. If they're offering it to you, accept it. And then you can even ask them, if I'm not able to finish whatever you're offering me, can I share with someone? Sharing, this gives you an opportunity to share with someone else who may need it. So make it a point to say, I need to practice compassion every day, and teach your children to say, practice compassion every day. Then my last point, and then we can take it out as and I'll throw it out to folks who are listening and say, what are some of the other characteristics that are character habit forming things that we taught your children? The other thing is generosity. Generosity needs to be taught. Don't assume that some people are naturally very good at it. Some of us have to learn how to do it, right? Because and the honest truth is that most Americans will not consider themselves wealthy. But do you realize that we're wealthier than 99% of the people in the world? There are a lot of people out there who don't have the basics. And so if you're here, you're in the United States, no matter what's going on with you, look for opportunities to be generous. Generosity means not just money. Generosity means even in compliment. Generosity means service. Be a model of generosity. And part of being generous is also being thankful. Being thankful with your compliments. Being thankful in the things that people do for you. Let's make it a habit to say, you know what, I want to do something extra for my teacher. So these are the things you have to teach our children. So let's teach our children to be generous with each other. Tell them to be nice to their brother or sister. Tell them to be nice to their parents. Encourage them to give their toys away and their clothing away. In this season, as the summer is coming and is ending, you're going to say to yourself, hey, let's look through our closet. Whatever we don't have a use of and having used it in the last 2 years, let's pack it up very nicely. And then let's think about giving it to someone else. These are some basic things that we can do to encourage, empower others. So as I was reflecting and thinking about how are the things that I need to do to make sure my children carry the legacy that displays that they are from a good home, that displays that they are good citizens. The way we can do that is being 1, generous, 2, be compassionate, 3, have courage, and 4, have integrity. I did it backwards. So then this way you can kind of hear it. So I'm going to throw it out there for those of you who are here. Chris, welcome for joining us for the empowerment moment. What are some of the things that you're teaching your children to make sure that they have good character? Or based on what I've shared, what are some of the things that you're like, wow, that's actually a very good one. I want to use it. I just want to open it up because this is part of the conversation that we have in our empowerment moment with Dr. G. Throw it out there. All right, Senna. Oh, okay.
All right. So for me, I've taught my children to be respectful of others. Respectful in the sense that they need to they need to know that you are not the only person. You need to give respect. You need to give honor to people. Don't feel like especially elders, don't feel like, oh, because this person is my teacher, I don't need to respect. Then even your fellow mates too, you need to respect their opinions. You need to respect, in general. So that is one thing that I do with my kids, and I just want to share.
All right, awesome. So be respectful of elders, be respectful of people. That's very good. Awesome for that. Anybody else want to share?
Yeah, on my part too, just like she said, during this COVID time, my son was having problem, from honor roll, he started getting C, and he was having problem with the A too. So no matter what he does, I never make an excuse for him. I always say respect. Because every time the aide will be calling me, Marco is not listening, Marco is doing this, Marco is talking about Marco, because they're only on the Zoom. But I only not making an excuse. I say, no matter what, your teachers, your aide, whoever in that building in school, they are your elders. When I'm not there, they're your parent. I always let him know that I'm not giving an excuse. I'm not making excuses for you. I know you have some challenges, but that's not an excuse for you to be disrespectful to anyone. So I'll put it down there. You have to be respectful to everyone, even your classmate, everyone, especially your elder. You have to be respectful to each and every one there.
Awesome. So respectful. I love what you said. When you're not present, the school, the folks who are older are acting as parents for you. And I think that's gone away in our generation, but that's really, really crucial in terms of for our kids to know that, we have to, even parents are not around, we have to behave as if our parents are there. And if you don't tell them that or teach them that, they're not going to know that. That's a very good point. Very, very good one. Anyone else want to share? Hi, Daniel. Look at you. Awesome. Daniel is also going to tell us something. What else should we know about? And that's Daniela in the back.
Yes.
Oh, Daniela, she's always there.
Yes, absolutely. All right, awesome. So Senna, what would you say is one characteristic that you find important as a characteristic?
I would say loyalty, or I guess trust is more a better way of saying that. That if I am, you know, trusting you, that means that, I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase it, but I think it's just like trust really is foundational for everything. I know, like when I was younger, I wasn't always the most honest. And I remember the one thing you used to say is that, once that trust is lost, it's hard to get back. And it's so important to, creating and establishing, healthy relationships. So even in the most simple and basic ways, trust is really important. So I guess that really ties into everything else that surrounds, being in relationships with other people. So
that's a very good point. And when you talk about trust, you're also talking about the fact of loyalty and also integrity. It goes back to that because once someone is dishonest, or once you're dishonest even with your kids, or they lie, then there's no bond of trust. And then it's the next time something happens, it's hard to believe them. And so the key thing here is for us to model it as parents, to see that, and in every relationship, to just make sure that we're not telling lies. Because then once you tell a lie, you have to remember the lie you told, and then you have to try to cover the lie. And then before you know it, you're exposed. And then more importantly, that it makes people now want to believe you. And so as parents out there, please make sure that you don't, tell your children somebody's calling, you're like, well, tell them I'm not home, when you know very well you're home. And so you're cultivating and teaching them that they need to lie, and that's actually not completely what you want. So I want to echo what you just said, and the importance of not just lying, but being honest about things. So I wanted to share, throw it out there. I don't know if there's anybody else that's also writing anything per se, in terms of what your thoughts are on the key things that needs to be factors or characteristics that we need to consider. So we added onto the list today the importance of respect, the importance of listening to those who are older than us. We also added on to here the importance of trust and loyalty. So these are all things that are really, really crucial. And these are things that are common to us, but many of us are seeing a generation of kids who are struggling. And the way we can help them not struggle is by making sure that we're teaching these things and being very intentional. If you've been around me, you know that I always say intentionality is very, very important. That's one thing that I always say. I'm like, if you don't make it a habit of just making things what you're going to do, it's not going to get done. So decide that, okay, I'm going to model these things, and then it will get done. So I hope you've been blessed by some of the things that we've been talking about. We share these things to encourage one another. I want to just also remind us that my goal is here for you day in and day out. You can reach us, mygoalinc.org. We changed our URL from autism to My Goal Inc., in part just because we have more expanded our resources that we provide for individuals with intellectual disabilities, including autism. You can email us as info at or Genevieve at mygoalinc.org, and we'll certainly respond to you. Or even I still use info at mygoalautism.org. We can respond to you. We know that we're there for you as a resource. Coming up next month is the second half of the year. So I want you to come telling me what are some of the things you're looking forward to doing. And then also we have our swimming event, which is going to come up if you live locally in New Jersey. We're also going to have the social hour event, which we're going to be doing on July 8th, and then July 11th is our swim event. And of course, I'll be here next month at the end of the month, the last Thursday of the month, to talk to you about it. Other interesting topics. But as always, we're here to just remind you that you're loved by God. Oftentimes a lot of things that are around us can be negative, but you have to be surrounded by the positive. And part of positivity is being around people who know that love and care and compassion and integrity and courage and respect are all important factors. And we get that by being around people who model that and demonstrate that. And that's really what I wanted to encourage us this evening and empower us this evening about. So on behalf of Michael, I want to thank all my families out there who listen to us day in and day out. Next month, we're going to be talking about how we've really begun to help more families than in the past. We just reviewing our grant program, and we'll be sharing with the results of that to folks next month. So more to share with you as we are able to continue to change lives and empower people. So yeah, before we round up, I just want to open it up to any last words from our wonderful family members. 3 of the people who are on my panel today who joined in are graduates. And so once again, congratulations, Pat. Congratulations, Ronke. Congratulations, Sana, on all that you do. And of course, 4 actually, congratulations to Nate. Chris is on here. So Nate, congratulations to you as well too. So we're celebrating. I think it's just a room to be joyful because that happened in that regards. So any last parting words before we jump off this line? And no? Okay. Well, I just want to just bless God for you. And I just ask that, whatever you're doing in this season, that God will bless you. God will cause everything that about you to prosper, to increase, and that any needs that you have, God will supply it because He alone knows the need that you have. And especially as you're raising your special child, loved ones, or you're caring for a loved one who has serious illness, know that there is a Savior who can care for you and loves you. And all you have to say is, come into my life and He'll give you what you need. So I just want to share that with you today and just say that we love you from my Goal family. We care about you and we say God bless you and have a great night. See you next month as we continue to do Empowerment Moment with Dr. G. I love all of you with the love of Christ. Have a great evening. Bye now. Bye now.
Thank
Remember,
you. Bye. Bye, everyone.
all right. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.